some tidbits about God, okay? He doesn't necessarily see a difference in the different kinds of spending or purchasing, okay? So if I'm buying something with cash versus a credit card versus a loan, to him it's all cash. I have the currency necessary to get the thing, transaction over, okay? Because in his mind, he feels like if somebody has excess, there's not reason to hoard it. Like like in a state of nature, you're never going to hoard extra trees. But if somebody needs, firewood, and they're somehow out of firewood, and you have excess firewood, you can trade for firewood, and then it's complete. You have to there's never really any reason to overstock and overhoard potatoes and wheat. So if you know that there's somebody else that wants it, you're going to share with them. Okay, but instead we've turned all of this into this money, and it's just to be clear, God doesn't see a difference. So there is an issue with the way the universe calculates money, in that it is never actually accounting to flow us extra money just to flow you because you call it payback on a loan. Now, I'm not really just trying to come up with excuses with my life, because half of this is seeing what I have done in spirit and then reverse engineering what's going on. So Brittany's past debt issue seems to be a recurring issue, and we just want to remind you that to God, there's not a difference in acquire. It's like however I lawfully acquire something, that I've lawfully acquired it. You get it? It's like to him, it doesn't necessarily make sense to call this cash, this credit, this loan, but credit and a loan are both cash, but also both a loan. So to him, it doesn't necessarily make sense. He feels like lawful getting is lawful getting. Doesn't matter if it's free. Okay, so then the debt to you becomes another issue, which he says you only owe anybody love. So and there's not supposed to be usury. That's criminal. Usury is interest. It's criminal, okay? But then he wants to say, unfortunately, there is a difference between, who's worked and who hasn't worked. Because, again, if we look at this like an amusement park, only some of you are actually working at the amusement park. So the owner is the king, oppressive slave driver, and not actually somebody that has equity in anything that's been built. So God does not assign ownership to a tyrant of what the slaves built. He assigns ownerships of what your hands do to you. Okay, even if you strangle somebody because the king says so, you take the fall. So if you build a house because the king says so, then you get the house, or you get the credit. So when it comes to when we end and we have this world full of slave stuff, there's something in my mind that the slave stuff is for the slaves. So there is a difference in wages, I guess.